Peace, beautiful world, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to show you exactly what you need to do to run numbers to determine if a deal is a deal. Let's dive in.
Everything you want in life, you can make that happen. Come along with me for this journey.
So a lot of people have been asking me, Dave, how do we even determine if we should even be buying a property or if it's a viable property to flip? How do you run your numbers? Today we're going to dive into exactly how I run my numbers, okay? So there's a few key components that you need to learn in order to run these numbers. You got to know how to run your comps, and I'm going to show you how to run your comps. I'm going to show you how to determine the repairs, and I'm going to show you an easy, simple formula that you can utilize to determine if it's a deal very quickly. All right, let's dive in. All right, so to determine if it's a deal, the first thing that we need to know is the ARV, or the ARV as some people call it. What does ARV stand for? It stands for your after repair value. Okay, this is going to be the value of the property once it's all fixed up. So how do we determine what the ARV is? Well, you go by neighboring comps. So in real estate, anything that's 1 to 4 units, you determine the value of the property based on what other properties in the area are selling for. And I'm going to tell you exactly how to run those comps so you'll know exactly what you need to do in order to run those comps, okay? Now, anything that's 5 units or more, it's based on the income that property produces. The income minus the expenses equals the NOI, or the net operating income. And that's a whole nother video for a whole nother day. Okay, so today we're going to talk about the ARV, the repairs, because you need to know what your repairs are, so now you can determine what your MAO is going to be, or your MAO, which is your maximum allowable offer. This is the most that you can pay for the property, and you never want to go over that number because that's your strike price. If you go over that number and you start offering more, you might end up losing money. Okay, so let's dive in. So now, when it comes to the ARV, we're running our comps very tight in a certain area, a certain way. Okay, so first of all, you want to only be a half mile from your subject property. So if your subject property is here, you want to only go out a half mile. Look at properties that are within a half mile radius of your subject property, okay? The reason why is neighborhoods change drastically. And if you run your comps from the wrong area and the wrong neighborhoods, then you're gonna run bad comps. I once had a property that I flipped, and we were pulling comps from the other side of the street, which this was a major thoroughway street, and on one side of the street was a totally different neighborhood that I didn't know. And so because of that, when I ran my comps, I was pulling the wrong comps. Henceforth, I thought I was going to get a lot more for the property, and I didn't. I ended up actually, I still made money, but I didn't make as much money that I should have made on that property. So it's very important that you run your comps very tight. Half mile radius, and you want to only look back 3 months, okay? 3 months is all you want to look back, 3 months. The reason why you only want to do a half mile radius in 3 months is because that makes your numbers super, super tight. And now once you go back half mile, 3 months, you want to plus or minus 10% of the square feet. So plus/minus 10% of the square feet, right? The square feet of your subject property. So if your subject property is only 1,000 square feet, you want to look at properties anywhere between 900 and 1,100 square feet for your comps in a half mile radius 3 months back. When you have those numbers tightened up, and you also want to make sure it's the same zip code. But keep in mind, zip codes are not neighborhoods. Zip codes were designed for the U.S. Postal Service, although we do base a lot of things off of zip codes. So if it's in the same zip code, then we know that if it's in the same zip code, it's going to be more than likely the same area. But you want to use your best judgment. You want to look on a map. You want to look for large freeways that are dividing a neighborhood, large boulevards or major streets that are dividing a neighborhood, and kind of use your better judgment. If you're looking on a map and you're running your comps and you see, for example, properties on this side of the street and they're all selling for 450, 460 around that area, but then your subject property is maybe down on this side of the street and it's only selling for about 320 and everything in that area is selling about 320, 330, then you know you can't use those 400 and something dollar comps because that's a different neighborhood. That shows you how the neighborhood divides. So you gotta use common sense and you gotta use your better judgment. And I'm gonna do another video where I'll show you the tools I use to run these comps on my computer. I use PropStream. I'm gonna show you through PropStream. I'll show you how to do it free through Zillow and Redfin as well if you don't even have the money for PropStream, okay? So it's really simple to run these comps. Once you pull your comps, once you pull your list of properties that are within a half-mile radius, 3 months back, plus or minus 10% of the square foot, you want the same bedroom bath count. You want the same bedroom bath count, so I'm gonna put same bed/bath, right? And with the baths, I kind of leave that open because if I'm flipping the property and the budget permits it, if I have enough money in the budget to add a bathroom, then I might pull comps. If it's a 3-1 and I'm seeing comps at a 3-2 that are selling higher, and I know if I add a bathroom, it's not going to cost me that much, maybe cost me about 10 grand to add a bathroom, then I'm going to do that and I'm going to add that bathroom so that way maybe that extra 10 grand I put in the property might net me an extra 50, 60K, you know, so that makes sense. So you got to make sure that it makes sense. So once you do that, you pull your list of properties and now you're only looking for properties that are fully renovated. You want to look for properties that are fully renovated, that are remodeled, done nice. You don't want to look for old properties, so you got to look through all the pictures. And the key is looking at the kitchen and looking at the baths, okay? Because you want to look for new tiles in the kitchen, new tiles in the bath, the new countertops, new light fixtures, new cabinets and hardware on the cabinets and vanities in the bathroom and the tub, all of that. You want to make sure everything's been done and it's been done right. Those are your comps. Those are your after repair value comps, okay? So now that we have that, let's talk about repairs. Now let's talk about repairs, okay? So now repairs is going to vary from city to city, state to state, okay? Now labor in one city is going to be a certain price compared to a different city. So there is no certain number that you could go by off of repairs. You know, I once took a real estate course, and in the course they said, okay, if it's light cosmetic, budget $15,000. If it's medium type of renovations, budget $20,000. And if it's a big renovation, budget $40,000. Then I got my first rehab that I did, and our budget was $80,000. And I'm like, wait, this doesn't go with anything that I learned at this seminar. So you can't go by that, okay? Because labor varies from state to state, from city to city, even certain cities in the state. So for example, I'm here in the San Francisco Bay Area. In San Francisco, what it costs for me to get a job done in San Francisco, it's gonna be way different to do that same exact job in the Central Valley in, for example, Modesto, which is only about an hour and 20 minutes, maybe an hour and a half from San Francisco. You see, so within that hour to 2 hour drive from San Francisco, prices will get slashed in half, okay? So it's very important that you know what your numbers are in your city. And how do you determine that? The way you determine that is by actually getting bids from licensed contractors in your area. So you want to be out here looking at properties, you want to call contractors, you want to have them come out, you want to have them give you bids. On any job that you're doing, you want to get a minimum of 3 bids done by contractors. Now, in those bids, say if you get 3 or 4 bids, you're going to have some bids that are going to come up really high, right? Say for example, some are going to be like, we could get this whole job done for $150,000. Then you're going to have other people that are going to come in at a lower price, right? They're going to come in and they're going to say, I could get this job done for $60,000. Then you're going to have some people that's going to be right in the middle. You know what? I could get it done for $110,000, okay? You want to go with that middle medium, You don't want to go too high because they're just overpriced. You don't want to go too low because a lot of times what contractors do is they'll give you a super low price just so they can win the job and win the bid. And then when they start working, then here comes the change orders. Here comes the, oh, I didn't realize it was going to cost this much, now it's going to cost this, and now it's going to cost that. And they start nickel and diming you. And then before you know it, you ended up paying just as much as that higher person that you was going to pay in the first place. And the only difference is you also dealt with a headache because a person like that is unprofessional, usually does shoddy work, and they just didn't get it done properly, okay? So this comes with experience, it comes over time. So for example, there's certain areas in my market where I've done so much business and done so many flips in that area that I know that the price per square foot for cosmetic is going to be a certain amount. I know the price for if we got to do the mechanicals, meaning we got to open up the walls, we got to do HVAC, we got to do plumbing, we got to do electrical. I know that's going to be a certain price. And I know if I got to add an addition or something like that, it's going to be a certain price. So you learn that over time through experience. Right now, what you need to do in order to make sure your numbers is right, what you need to do is get these licensed contractors in there and you go and have them give you bids on your property. Once you find that out, then you can determine what your maximum allowable offer is. And I'm going to show you the formula that I use and how I do that. I will be doing another video as well that's going to show you exactly how to hire contractors, how to get the top contractors, how to get the best contractors that you need in order to get the job done. But that's a different video for another day. So make sure that you're liking, make sure you're following and subscribing and all that good stuff because I'm going to be dropping so much nuggets and so many gems for you. Okay, so let's dive in now. Let's dive into the offer. Okay, so say we figured out our repairs, we had them come through, and now we know that the repairs are going to be, let's say, for say 100,000, just for YouTube's sake. Okay, so your repairs are 100,000. We got a few bids. We know we can get it done for 100,000. We're being conservative with our numbers. Now I'm going to show you the formula that I use in order to find out whether this is a deal or not, okay? So first of all, you know what your ARV is. You found out what your ARV is, okay? So let me erase this, okay? So we're gonna use some theoretical numbers. We got our ARV, right, which is our after repair value, okay? Your ARV now, we know it's going to be, let's just say our ARV is gonna be, I don't know, let's just say 500. Now, we know that our repairs are going to be 100,000. Okay, so now that we have these two numbers, we can determine what our offer is going to be and determine if what they're asking for the property is too much or if we're paying too much for the property. So there you have it. Of course, there's a lot more that goes into running numbers. These are what I call quick napkin numbers. This is how you could determine a deal very quickly on the fly within 5 minutes or less. So remember, keep practicing and continue to sharpen your sword because the more you study, the more you become better at what you do. Remember one thing, when you're green, you're growing. When you're ripe, you're riding. Stay green, my friends.